Hello everyone, I know it's been a while, so I thought I would pop in and give you a bit of an update on what I've been reading this July. I have had a lot of good reads and some not so great, unfortunately, but I just want to talk through them and give you an update. So I have been trying to use my Kindle a lot more, but I did get some really good bargains when I've been out of the works, which I think I've mentioned before. If you're not from the UK, it is a sort of discount store for books. You tend to get a lot of 3 for £5, or you get them at very low prices compared to your everyday bookstore. So, like I said, I have tried to use my Kindle a bit more, but it doesn't always happen because, again, can't be controlled clearly. So my first book was actually for Slasher Summer, which I am taking part in, and that is You're Not Supposed to Die by Kailyn Barron. So this is a group of teenagers who are, I would say, the upper end of your teens, but they work at a place where it is basically an old campsite, and they reenact for a certain amount of seasons what I would refer to as like a scare fest. So they basically set everything up on the night for people who have paid to come and get scared, and they have everything planned out so that it is like you're being hunted down at a camp. However, they start to realise that actually they might be the hunted rather than the hunters. And it was really good to start with, and then the ending just sort of seemed to be filled with all these different genres. It was almost like Kailyn Barron wanted to make a book that was filled with all these different things, and she didn't quite know how to put them all together, and it just seemed like this one particular thing just came out of nowhere, and it didn't really have a huge effect on the story. If you took that out, it wouldn't have really been anything different to the story. I did enjoy this. However, I just think that it would have been better if it had just been like kept to a slasher without all the extra added elements to it. So unfortunately, this did actually get a 4 from me, which I suppose is a decent star rating for it. I did consider doing it a 3.5, but I did still have a really fun time with it, even if I didn't enjoy the added subgenres to it. But yeah, 4 for me. Then, and I apologise to anybody who hates the stickers on books, but I have still got it on here. So this is part of a 3 for £7, like I was talking about. I actually got 2 of those read this month. So first of all, it was Ward D by Freida McFadden. I read The Boyfriend by Freida McFadden a couple of months ago, and I really enjoyed it, and I tried to have a go at some more of Freida McFadden's writing, and Ward D definitely did not disappoint me. This takes place in a psychiatric unit, so we are following our main character, who is basically doing her placements, and she's been put on a placement for a psychiatric unit. Things are weird from the get-go. Things are strange. She's given all these different warnings. She's told a code for the door, but she's also not allowed to leave the psychiatric unit even on her break. The only time she's allowed to leave is when her shift is up. So she has to do 12 hours on this unit without leaving it at all. There is also minimal phone coverage, so there's only one part in the staff room, and she has to get up right by a window and hold the phone up, and even then it's only like one bar, so it's pretty much very secluded. And once she's on that unit, she is pretty much not available to the outside world. So things start going off, and you are basically just following this whole thing of, is she going a little bit crazy, or is there something deeper going on? There is I don't want to say too much, but there is another character on the unit who she actually knows, and that isn't a spoiler, it's just said quite soon on. And it was her childhood best friend. Now, her childhood best friend also knows certain things about her, and as we go along we find this out, and that starts to then build up this, possibly the whole idea that she may not have all the mental capacity that she is giving off as somebody who is studying medicine. So I really enjoyed this. I did not in the slightest pick out who it was. I had no idea as to what was going on. And this, honestly, it was a 5 for me. I read this all in one night because I just didn't want to put it down. I didn't want to go to sleep. I didn't want to not get to the point where I knew who it was before putting it down. So I read this all in one night, and I was ecstatic with how it ended, to the point where I think I was sat for a little bit like, oh my god. So I definitely recommend this. This was a 5-star for me. I was so happy that I picked this up. The next one that I went on to was Freda McFadden's Perfect Son. I was a bit dubious about this because I don't necessarily like things that are about child killers. Unfortunately for me, I was enjoying this so much, but I actually did guess who the actual murderer was, to the point where I text Claire when I was reading it, and I was just like, right, I know you've read this, so I'm just going to say I'm on page 147 or something like that, and I'm going to have my theory that it's so-and-so. And I was right. And I was quite impressed, because I'm not usually one to actually guess. But it's a lot for me to actually to get who it is. I think it was a lot. However, I do say that I think from reading some slashers and some thrillers recently, I do think that there is a slightly set out recipe for a slasher, and my theory of it seemed to work alongside this one. Although, yes, maybe not a slasher to some, but this is quite gory. There's a lot of blood in it, but it's just really good. I'm not going to speak too much about what this is about, purely because I feel like this would give it away. But basically, a mother is quite aware that her son has a strange trait. Things have happened when he was younger. They've been called to schools when he was like really young. He's been excluded from schools before because of certain things. He's been suspended because of certain things. And he is just an all-round strange child. And when I say strange, it is a case of he is hurting people and he is hurting animals and things like that. But in his head, it's all for this sort of curiosity. It's to quell his curiosity and quell the thirst of that feeling. So we follow the mother trying to protect a girl who he seems to have taken a liking to. However, it's the right name but the wrong girl. So he's still able to wander about, get to know this other girl, and she all of a sudden goes missing. So as we go further along, we get to know the family a bit more. We get to sort of see how a parent deals with the possibility that their child could be a murderer or a kidnapper or just generally a bad person. And it was great. Whilst I didn't read this all in one sitting, I did read it over I started it on the night time and finished it the next night. And I think that I would give this a 4.5 purely because I did guess who did it. I think there were certain things that were made obvious to the reader to sort of point them away from this person. It was just a constant thing of like, oh, it must have been this because of this. It was almost like Frida McFadden was saying, don't look at him. Don't look at him because there's these other things to look at, so do that instead. But I know that other people have read it and haven't, so I don't know. Like, obviously for me, that is just a personal thing of, I got it. Then I listened to Caught Up by Nevesta Allen. I listened because I actually really enjoy the narrators. Teddy Hamilton is very good when it comes to the sort of sexy, dangerous male persona. Now, I read Lights Out. I think it was towards the beginning of the year, and I adored that. Caught Up is not exactly a direct follow-up. You can read it as a standalone. I just don't feel like you would get the full effect of everything. The characters from Lights Out are in Caught Up, and there are just a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of about it. I know that people have loved this and I was so excited to read it, but there was just a part of me that was just literally sitting there thinking, this is not as exciting as the first one. I think with the first one, the whole masked man thing, I don't know what this is about me, but the masked man thing was fantastic. The possibility that he was quite dangerous because he was stalking her to an extent whilst she knew it was still quite sweet in a way. Sweet's the wrong word. I feel like I'm making myself sound really bad on this. But I just really enjoyed all the possible danger side to it. Whereas with Caught Up, it wasn't like that at all. It didn't feel like the stakes were too high. There was a certain conversation had quite later on in the book, which I feel should have been a bit more high stakes. It should have been a bit more full on, a bit more aggressive, so to speak. But it wasn't, and it was dealt with very quickly. And I was a bit like, oh, okay, so that's it. Right. So unfortunately, that book got a 3 for me. But I do understand why other people would just enjoy getting to enter that world again. But yeah, 3-star for me. Then I went on to We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kluwer, I think. I've been wanting to read this book for so long, and it's very shiny, so I'm going to put it down. But we follow a couple who have just moved into a house. They want to renovate it and flip it, so they will be selling it on. and they are a female couple. And basically one of them goes out to collect stuff, and a family turn up and knock on the door, and the father says, "Oh, I really hope you don't mind. I used to live here. I'd like to show my children where I used to live." And she ums and ahs, but then eventually gets bowled over by the little girl being like, "Oh, please." And she just says, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And just like it says, you let them back in. You shouldn't have, because they don't leave. For the rest of the book, there is a very long timeline of them actually being at the house, and they don't leave for a very long time. But things just start getting really strange. It gets really, like, the tension gets amped up quite a bit, and you definitely end up wondering if it is just her mind playing tricks on her, or if something really strange is going on with the house. We learn a lot about the previous occupant's sister, who apparently also did become a little bit out of sorts. I don't want to say crazy because I don't like that, but she was put in an institution because she basically started saying that things were moving, things were changing in the house, like actual walls were changing, windows were changing, and just different features of the house didn't look the same as they did the day before. Or a coat hanger, a coat stand, wasn't there when her family were like, "It's been there for years, it's been there since we moved in." And it is just a constant thing of, it's strange, but the more that things are talked about, you start to wonder if actually the main character is just run down and tired and starting to lose the mental faculties that she had previously. However, there was a point in this book where I felt like it could have ended, and I would have been so happy with that as the ending. And then it carried on, and as it carried on, it just, to me, it felt like it just became a bit ridiculous. I really didn't enjoy the ending. It was going quite strong. It was so weird, and it was going quite strong for me. And as I said, if that particular point that I really clung to had been the ending, I think I would have given it a higher rating. But unfortunately, 3 stars, because I just didn't like the ending. I thought it was a bit all over the place, which I understand. Having things a bit all over the place in a thriller is definitely to mess with your head a bit. But this felt like it was just in a way to it just felt chaotic. It felt like there was too much going on. And there were also lots of questions at the end of it. I had so many questions at the end of it, and none of them were answered. And it just sort of came to an end. And yeah, that was it. I was left wondering for a while why so many people raved about it, but I do understand, again, it is just personal preference, because, as I said, I would have preferred a certain part to have been the ending, and I think for me that would have been like the perfect sort of thriller book. But I do understand that there are a lot of people that would enjoy what this became, and it just wasn't for me, which is a shame, because, like I said, I've been wanting to read this for ages. It was hyped up so much on Instagram and BookTube, and it just, unfortunately, just didn't do it for me. Then what I'm going to class as my final read for July, but I know it's not technically, Kings of Kerny by Nevessa Allen. So because I enjoy Nevesta Allen's writing so much, although I didn't enjoy Caught Up, I thought I'd give it a go. And I found a biker romance, which was very exciting. I really enjoyed it. Kings of Kearney is wild, chaotic in a good way, and there's so much going on, but it's got that thing again of there's an independent female main character, there's a heavily relied on male main character, and they end up sort of mashing together in order to solve problems with the town that they're in and start fake dating, which is a brilliant trope for this. It's perfect. But we start to see little things that he's doing for her while they're fake dating, and it's just small gestures of him being a bit softer than the big burly Viking like biker. And I was having the time of my life. I'm not gonna lie, I was having the time of my life. It was fantastic. It started to slow down a little bit about 2/3 of the way in, and I was a bit like, oh, is this gonna be another one where it just sort of like ends? And I'm like, okay. However, it picked up the pace a lot more. The stakes were high, and the actual outcome of it was very much like, okay, well, we're still going to have to deal with the aftermath of this because this isn't done. Like, the danger might be out the way, but now we have the fallout of it, and we need to deal with that, which I really enjoyed because I liked the fact that it wasn't just done. So that was a really good read for me. So I gave that a 4.5. Like I said, there was a part where it just sort of slowed down a bit, and for me it was quite a dip going from everything being quite fast paced to that, and then we like ramped up again. But it's a roller coaster of emotions. I was here for it. I definitely appreciate the fact that there was a note at the end by Nevesta Allen to say that it actually wasn't originally going to be one of her books. She, at the time, was just writing some Sons of Anarchy fan fiction, which I think is brilliant, because before I'd even read that bit, the entire way through I was like, oh, this is so Sons of Anarchy coded. And I definitely think that the main character had OP written all over him. It was brilliant. So that is on Kindle Unlimited. So if you do have that and a biker romance is something you would like to try, or if it's your thing, I would definitely give Kings of Kearney a go. The only thing is, that's it. It's a standalone. That's it. I want more. I am still in between 3 other books. I have the audiobook for The Lake, which is supposed to be a slasher, thriller slasher. I'm not moving very quickly with that one just because it's an audiobook and I haven't had much chance to listen to a lot of it. But that is about a girls' summer camp. Well, I say a girls' summer camp. We are looking at the girls that are there, but it is a summer camp and things have started going a bit strange, and again, people have started dying. So we are looking at that as a thing. There is also a secret. Something happened a while ago and I'm waiting for that secret to come out because I need to know. I have also started The Reformatory. I can't remember who that's by, but I will put a graphic here. I do have the physical book, but it is currently in my living room with a receipt as its bookmark. Claire's gonna kill me for that. But yes, The Reformatory is a difficult read. The reason I'm doing my wrap up now is because I know that I won't finish that book by the end of July. For me, it's a read where I think I'm going to have to go really slowly with and have something light-hearted in between those, because it just generally is a lot. It's a lot of, I don't know, it's a lot of hard reading. There's a lot of racism, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of implied assaults, there's a lot of things that are implying what might be to come, and I feel like it's gonna be a good read if they do the supernatural side to it. But we basically follow a 12-year-old boy who is from a black family who their father has previously been accused of assaulting a white woman, and he has basically done a runner. He's trying to set up a life supposedly in another state, and he will come back for them, for his 2 children. However, we are sort of seeing the fallout of that, seeing his eldest child try to look after herself and her 12-year-old brother. Her 12-year-old brother ends up protecting her from a white boy, and he is sent to court. He is then sent to the Reformatory, which is supposed to be a school for wayward boys, instead of being sent to prison. And there is a lot going on from the get-go. I also feel very uncomfortable reading the N-word so much. But I will discuss that more in a video once I have actually finished the book. So, like I said, I wanted something a bit more lighter to read in between reading sessions of that. So I have started Tyrant, which is another biker romance. I don't know if this is going to be a thing, but it's just, it's fun to read. It's something that is a little bit dangerous, but you still get the cinnamon roll side of the bloke at the time. So I'm currently 60% of the way through, and I'm super into that. I am loving it. But I will definitely do a video that will be wrapping up those probably next month. So like I said, I just wanted to update you on what I've been reading, because I am aware it has been a few weeks since I uploaded. There has been a lot going on. It's very difficult to film when I have got the children off school, but also there's been quite a few things going on health wise, and I just needed to step back a little bit, and I also didn't have the energy to actually put a film out there, and I don't want to be putting films out and just be like really flat. I enjoy talking about the books that I'm reading, whether I enjoyed the book or not. I enjoy having these discussions and hearing from you guys, and I want to be able to sort of like still be quite bouncy in my videos. So that is the sort of wrap up, but it is my reading update for July. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments if you have read any of these, or if any of these are on your TBR. But I will see you in the next video. If you've liked, then don't forget to hit the thumbs up down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you soon. Bye.